RDP ThinBook Review. Today, you can find a decent variety of budget laptops under Rs. 15,000, all of which are built only for internet usage and other light workloads. These could be good options for students, or if you simply need a second computer at home. Most of these laptops, like the Acer Aspire One Cloudbook 11 which we recently reviewed, follow similar guidelines in terms of specifications, with the only differentiating factor between brands being the design. Display sizes are generally around 11.6 inches, with a few 14-inch models available. However, there hasn't been a 14-inch Windows laptop under R.S.10,000 until now. Hyderabad-based RDP has recently launched its first consumer laptop, called the ThinBook 1430, at Rs. 9,999 with the kind of specifications we've come to expect from this segment, but with a 14.1-inch display which should be good for productivity. That sounds like a very good recipe, but our review will show how true that is. The RDP ThinBook doesn't pretend to be anything other than what it actually is, a low-cost laptop. Having said that, the aesthetics are far from cheap or tacky. Instead, it looks pretty decent considering the tight budget it was built to fit. The fit and finish of the plastics is good, which makes the device relatively sturdy. The dimensions are similar to those of an Ultrabook, with the thickest end measuring around 20 mm and the entire laptop weighing roughly 1.4 kg. The 14.1-inch display has a 1366 by 768 pixel resolution with decent color reproduction. The glossy panel is prone to reflections which is annoying at times. Although the vertical viewing angles are poor, the horizontal viewing angles are not that bad. The hinge isn't very sturdy and the display wobbles even if flipped lightly. This can be an issue if you ever use the ThinBook on the move, like in a car. Brightness is also decent, however, the keyboard lacks shortcuts for brightness control. In terms of connectivity, you get USB 3.0, USB 2.0, mini HDMI, a headphone socket, a microSD card slot, and a charger socket. While we appreciate the microSD card slot, we would have liked a full-sized SD card slot instead. The palm rest area is spacious and there's a generous trackpad too. Tracking performance is far from ideal though since the surface isn't very smooth. This also impedes the use of multi-finger gestures. The trackpad buttons are quite stiff, and take some effort to press. The chiclet keys are well spaced out but the keyboard area itself has a certain degree of flex, which is evident once you begin typing. We felt that the keys had too much travel and felt too spongy for comfortable typing. There are LED status lights above the keyboard for power, caps lock and num lock, followed by two holes for microphones. The stereo speakers are placed on the bottom and fire downwards. The base is completely sealed off with no air vents. The lid of ThinBook bends backwards nearly 180 degrees, giving you enough flexibility for any typing position. The laptop ships with a 12.5 watts power adapter, which is only slightly larger than the average smartphone charger. RDP has gone with a fairly efficient Intel Atom X5 Z8300 SoC, which we've also seen inside the Notion Cable 10 review. This quad-core chip runs at 1.4 GHz with the ability to turbo up to 1.8 GHz, when the workload demands. It's built on the 14nm fabrication process and has a TDP of under 4 watts, which is how the device is able to get away without any active cooling. Like with most other laptops in this segment, you get 2 GB RAM, a 32 GB IMC for flash storage, Wi-Fi B/G/N, and Bluetooth 4.0. The inbuilt storage can be expanded by up to 128 GB using a microSD card. The laptop also has a VGA webcam, whose quality is pretty average. The ThinBook runs on Windows 10 32-bit, although RDP also sells a DOS version of this product at Rs. 8,999. There's absolutely no bloatware pre-installed other than the default universal apps that come with Windows. General Windows performance is acceptable but certainly not the smoothest. There's a very slight but noticeable stutter even when doing basic things like resizing or moving windows around on screen. The retail unit that we received exhibited some odd behavior. For example, the start menu and search box would intermittently stop working, forcing us to reboot. The USB ports would sometimes lose connection with a hard drive that was plugged in, midway through copying files. On the other hand, boot time was fairly good, with the laptop up and ready in a matter of seconds from the time you hit the power button.